Hi, this is Josh Beiser from GameWisdom.com. I hope you enjoyed this Game Industry Insight, a look behind the scenes at game development. And be sure to subscribe and you can pitch future video topics. Oh boy, everybody. For today's Industry Insight, we got a really good one. We're going to be talking about why the game industry hates G2A. And depending upon your own knowledge of the industry or what you follow, you may or may not know who they are. But by the end of today's video, you will certainly know it. So, the big piece of news that kind of spurred today's industry insight is from Gearbox. It was announced the other day that Gearbox Software, who is handling the remake of Bulletstorm, that they were going to team up with the distributor G2A.com for a special edition. Now, G2A, for those of you who don't know who they have risen in popularity over the last few years as essentially becoming the middleman or the second-hand store for CD keys. A few weeks ago, we talked about the importance of a used game market, the first sale doctrine, etc. And in that piece, I talked about how game keys themselves are still in this mysterious place in terms of ownership. And what G2A has done over the last few years has essentially cornered the market of being the biggest seller or the biggest marketplace for buying and selling game keys. This is where you can take a game key that you have, go to the place, and you can sell your key there, much like the Amazon marketplace or eBay or anything like that. And of course, you sell the key, consumer, whoever buys it, gets the game, and then you get a cut of that sale along with G2A. Now, so far, this sounds perfectly reasonable. However, it's when we get into some of the other parts about G2A's practices and what's been going on there that things get very dicey. And as of right now, according to a piece on Gamasutra that was posted today, Gearbox has rescinded their partnership. They issued them an ultimatum, and you'll know why in the next minute or so. So with G2A, they become, again, this very major part. They've partnered with numerous Twitch streamers and YouTubers as well. If you've watched like many of the big names, you usually will see like a little G2A box, either over here or over here. And like I said, while this may sound good and may sound like a fair marketplace, the game industry, especially indie developers, hate them. And if you'll excuse me for 1 second, I need to blow my nose. I'll be right back. Sorry about that. We are recording this in the springtime, and it's only going to get worse for me allergy-wise. But, getting back to the topic at hand, why indie developers hate G2A. The problem is how the store conducts itself, and what it does with its game keys. And this is something that, again, if you aren't in the know about the game industry or in the indie side of things, you may not have heard of this. But here's the general issue that's happening. People, hackers, whoever, will acquire fraudulent credit card numbers. How they do that and the specifics, way beyond our scope here. But they acquire them. And what they do is they will go to a site that sells game keys. Not to Steam, because you don't get an actual CD key that way, but to like Humble Bundle, the developer site, Amazon, whatever. And they will use these fraudulent credit cards and they will buy up game keys. I'm talking, in the thousands, basically. So they buy these keys up. Developer, of course, gets who knows how many different hits on their site saying, you just sold all these games. And everything's good on that front. But what happens is the people who buy these keys, they will then go to G2A and they will just unload them. I'm talking a massive discount. If the game costs $20, they may put up for $1. A $60 game, maybe $4 or $5. And again, if you're on a site like this, if you see the $60 key over here and then the exact same key for $1, which one would you choose? So they unload these keys. Again, G2A gets a cut of the profit, the hacker gets those keys, and they're done. The money's exchanged, everything is good. Here's what happens though. Obviously, the person who, the original credit card holder, gets their bill and sees Someone just spent $5,000-$10,000 on what the hell is this kind of video game? So they obviously call the credit card company. Credit card company investigates, and they will issue a chargeback. And what that means is they are going to give the person the money back that was stolen, and of course they'll probably give them a new credit card number. But when they trace this back, they're only going to go to the first step, and that is to the developer or the storefront. So that store developer now has to pay back not only everything that was stolen on that credit card, but there's usually a fee involved for basically dealing with fraudulent credit card numbers. This is why fraud protection is a very big deal in terms of cybersecurity and storefronts. So the developer is now hit with losing all the money, the fees, and then there's even another problem. If they decide, because they actually have a record of those keys, they don't know who bought them, but they can see the keys that were generated from those sales. If they go to Steam or Uplay or whatever and say, hey, all these keys right here were bought illegally, ban them, guess what happens? The people who bought them legitimately from G2A now sees the developer saying, we're taking away your video game. They don't understand it. They bought the game fair and square. But again, this is where that lack of knowledge about how video games work really comes back to bite people. And again, G2A and the hackers, they get off scot-free. Now, if we just stop right here, then I'm sure some of you watching this will say, well, it's not G2A's fault, they don't know about this. Well, there's another bit of a detail here, and this is basically the smoking gun as to why a lot of people hate G2A. Like we said, if the key is considered fraudulent, the chargeback happens and the key gets rescinded. You also have to buy the game again. But G2A offers a service on their site called the G2A Shield. What this is a monthly protection plan that stipulates if a key that you bought gets taken away either by Steam or is considered fraudulent or anything like that, then G2A will provide you with another key free of charge. If you don't have this protection, then your only option is to buy another key from G2A. So in this way, G2A is, if we think about, basically triple dipping on these purchases. And that is the big issue, and that is why a lot of people hate G2A and why I'm not a fan of them either. Because if this is a big enough problem that you're offering a protection plan for it, then you know something is going on. And there have been calls saying that they're basically operating as a money launderer for these illegal hackers. Because again, once the money gets exchanged through G2A and the hacker, again, the credit cards only go back to the legitimate store. They get away scot-free, and again, the developer and the store are left holding the bill or footing the bill. And again, this is a very sleazy business practice. Now, over the last year, there have been some attentions brought to light. G2A announced a way for developers to partner with them to sell keys and to monitor them. But the only way is you have to deal with them and deal with their cuts and rules. It's not a given. And again, this is why people are not fans of G2A. Because basically the store is taking all the control and they have no risk. Because again, the keys can't be traced back to G2A or the hackers. So they're just walking away with the money. And this came to a head the other day with Gearbox, basically after watching like his Total Biscuits video, or maybe they knew about this from the beginning and tried to get in, basically issued 4 demands of G2A. And they are, and I'm reading this from Gama Sutra, the first one is to make the G2A Shield, which is the customer fraud protection, free for everyone. The second one is to open up the site so that developers and publishers can search and flag fraudulent keys. And this would be free of charge so that, again, G2A doesn't have the power there. For, let's see. Oh, another one is to implement ability to prevent people from basically massive loading keys onto the channel or onto G2A. Again, when we're talking about the people who are hacking these games, they're not buying 1, 2, 3 keys. They are buying hundreds, if not thousands, of keys. So if G2A sees that some brand new user just unloaded 5,000 keys of the same game, there's a pretty good idea that they are in the wrong there. And they want to do that. And then another part, and then the final thing they wanted was that G2A to restructure their payment system so that people who buy and sell keys legitimately know exactly what's going on, what are the fees, what are any rules, stipulations, stuff like that. And G2A has said no, or they have not given enough information to Gearbox, and they have decided to cancel the Bulletstorm partnership. But things are probably not going to be going away anytime soon. Here's a really great litmus test as well for the popularity of this channel. Depending upon how popular I am, there's a very good chance that a few people who have either worked for G2A or buy and sell from G2A are about to comment below telling me how wrong I am. We'll have to see what happens in the coming days. But last GDC, there was almost an incident between Tiny Build, who is they've been growing in terms of popularity as an indie developer and publisher, and one of the people from G2A. Tiny Build have been one of the indie developers on the forefront of trying to bring awareness to G2A's practices. I think another one was Lars Doucet, who's doing Defender's Quest. We actually talked to him, I think it was last year, about this. But what happened was one of the people from G2A came to the panel that the CEO of Tiny Build is at, and there was almost an altercation there. But things were settled. But it doesn't sound like things are going away. And as we've said, I am definitely not a fan of G2A. I think the fact that they are basically getting away with triple dipping and avoiding any kind of repercussions is on the sleazy side of things. And the fact that they have the balls to charge people for fraud protection when they should be handling themselves really speaks volumes. And again, this is another good way to tell who really knows what's going on about the video game industry. Because if you watch a big time YouTuber or a streamer and they have a big old banner of G2A, chances are they don't know what's really going on. And it is kind of interesting that even some of the ones that I watch, I see that banner, and every time I do, I feel my blood pressure rising a little bit. But we're going to wrap up today's industry insight here. So for those of you watching, what do you think about all this with G2A? And again, like I said in my piece about used games, I do think that we need a second-hand market, especially not only for physical copies, but for game keys. But G2A is definitely not the answer. And who knows how long this will keep lasting for. But with that said, thanks for watching. If you enjoyed today's industry insight and you are new, be sure to like and subscribe. Let me know if you have a suggestion for a future topic to cover. But otherwise, check back daily for more great content here and on Game Wisdom, where we examine the art and science of games. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you enjoy it, be sure to like and subscribe to the channel, and of course share with your friends. It always helps out. For daily posts on all manner of game design and industry topics, check out game-wisdom.com. To support the site and everything that I do, be sure to check out the Patreon campaign. If we can hit goals, it will mean more content for everyone to enjoy, and I'll be able to support myself and my household. If you want to follow me, you can find me on Twitter at GWBicer for updates throughout the day and random thoughts from me. And lastly, you can find me on Twitch right over there at GWBicer for daily streams most nights around 10 Eastern. Thanks again for watching the video, and be sure to check out more great content coming to the Game Wisdom channel real soon.